Well, hello and welcome. My name is Dee Williams, and today I am here to show you or to talk to you about how to start a niche executive assistant and recruiting and staffing agency business. And let me just tell you, boy, am I excited! Boy, am I excited about this opportunity to share with you. Um, there are so many things that I want to tell you about. First of all, you have to understand that the executive assistant is the new power job in the industry, and it is one of the most unique and exciting niches to dive into these days. And there's a lot of possibility and a lot of potential for you to make a massive impact on our world's economy to match the people that you love and admire the most with some of the most amazing companies, some of the most amazing job opportunities in the whole entire world. You want to learn more? Let's get started. So first, I really wanted to kind of give you an idea of the many roles of the executive assistant. And in case you don't know, there's a young lady on the West Coast who dubbed CEA as a title, which is Chief Executive Officer. And she's grown this title over the last 10 years to something even more dynamic than I can even explain. So let's talk a little bit about some of the roles that are available with executive assistant niche. We have the executive assistant, it's the general name or general title. The salary is typically around 57,000 to 72,000 plus. Okay, depending on the location. You have personal executive assistants that where the salaries are between 57,000, almost 58,000 and $100,000 a year in salary plus. You have the executive secretary where the salaries are somewhere between 70,000 and 94,000, and the senior administrative assistant where the salary is around 60,000 to 82. Now let me just state this. As I went and I conducted my research to find out more information about this niche, I noticed that in each and every one of these positions, all of the salaries, depending on the location, went far and beyond $100,000 a year in salary. So, for instance, your best locations to fill or to match executive assistants is San Francisco, California, San Jose, California, Los Angeles, California, New York, New York, Washington, D.C., Boston, Massachusetts, and Houston, Texas. These are your top areas. Now, let me warn you that you don't have to live in these locations to make the match or the connection. You can live anywhere and still make the match and connection. We're in 2015 where technology pretty much rules. Therefore, if you need to meet a client or a candidate, you can meet them the same way you and I are interacting today. Or video is one of the most powerful tools to meet individuals today, so you can definitely take advantage of that. So your best locations: San Francisco, San Jose, Los Angeles, New York, Washington, D.C., Boston, Massachusetts, Houston. Are you in the house? Okay, so that's where you're going to see high salaries, a plethora of positions available for the executive assistant niche. All right. Now, there are the largest salaries, let me just say, are in Silicon Valley, actually, where the base pay starts around 60,000 and they increase to as much as $200,000 per year in salary. Hold it, plus bonuses and equity. Can you believe that? I'm saying, like, I'm sure there's some director of IT professionals and some software developers that are like there saying 200 grand for an assistant, but that's exactly where we are. They are dubbing the industry, the world is dubbing the executive assistant position as a powerhouse position. Okay. Now, you know that I'm all about the niche and talking about the niche. And so I just wanted to throw this out here because I think a lot of people don't understand how amazing the niche can be. So here I've given you the role of we place executive assistants. This is our niche, right? Internally, you can niche the executive assistant, a personal executive assistant, the executive secretary, or the senior administrative assistant. However, there are some agencies out there that are micro niching even further. They're recruiting CEAs from Los Angeles, New York, and Washington, D.C. to where? Silicon Valley. Why? Because you have the highest salaries there. And you have there's a greater need. You've got a ton of startups there. And listen, if you're looking to dive into this niche, you know that every CEO needs a good EA, needs a good personal assistant, needs a great executive secretary, an amazing executive administrative assistant. I'm excited. So, this is a position that will always be needed. And whereas if your admin, your receptionist, your office coordinator, they may get laid off first during the time of a recession, but understand your personal assistant or your senior executive assistant is going to be the last person that gets laid off during a recession. So this is really a recession-proof position or niche for you to dive into. So now I want to do something a little bit different. And I want to show you, I want to give you let's just follow me. Hold on one second, because I've pulled some things up here for you to check out. So one of the first things that I like to do is when I'm trying to figure out my niche, I like to go in and see, okay, how many positions are available within my particular niche space. And I was very excited to see the number of jobs that were available for this niche market. I mean, I was like overwhelmed. I was like, man, this maybe I need to go back and niche again, right? Okay, so the executive assistant jobs, I'm using 3 platforms here to show you the number of job opportunities that are out there based on similar job titles. And you know what? I didn't type in the chief executive officer, so you're going to have to do that research on your own. Now, let's see. The executive assistant's jobs, according to Glassdoor, they literally right now at this very moment have 163,167 executive assistant jobs available. Wow. Can you make one placement in that space? Just one. Stick around. I'm going to show you how much money you can make during this. The executive assistant to CEO jobs. There are 8,307 jobs today in that space. You only need to place one a month at the minimum. All right. The executive secretary jobs, 12,984 job openings. Is that not amazing? All right. Senior executive assistant jobs, 17,188 jobs. Executive administrative assistant jobs, 20,472 jobs. And senior administrative assistant jobs, 20,228 jobs. Okay, now I moved platforms and I said, let's go over to Indeed.com. Executive personal assistant jobs, we have 5,586 jobs posted here on Indeed.com for executive personal assistant. That does not include all the other titles that are there. I also slid over to simplyhired.com. And here, and I just typed in, oh, look at this. I just typed in executive assistant. That's all I did. And we came up with 3,380 jobs in the executive assistant space. So as you can see, there are a number of job opportunities. You have a pool of job opportunities there. Now it's time for us to take a look and see how many executive assistants are available. Now we are looking at how many executive assistants are out there, okay? Because you want to look at the ratio, how many jobs are available versus how many of your niche market is available. Right now on on LinkedIn.com, I typed in the word executive assistant, okay? And I clicked on the little people tab and I walked away. I didn't come back and look. And now I am looking at this number here, right here, just like you are, 1.8 million executive assistants that are on the market. And when I say on the market, that means that we have the ability to either encourage them to take a new opportunity or they're looking, either consciously or subconsciously. Either way you want to look at it, here are 1.8 million executive assistants for us to place in all of those job opportunities that we just looked at. Now, I went on over to Indeed.com. They actually have a resume database in Indeed.com. And I wanted to see how many executive assistant resumes I could find. I found 250,000 executive assistant resumes. This is nationwide. And of course, when you do your search, when you start to research your niche and you want to dive in there a little bit closely, you want to look at your niche from a nationwide perspective. You want to look at your niche from a worldwide perspective. You want to look at your niche from a coastal perspective and then regionally, because that will allow you to see, do I just want to stay local? Do I want to grow? Do I want to dive into somebody else's market? Listen, this world is all belongs to it all belongs to you. So you have many options. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Now, I went to data.com, and listen, guys, I'm kind of old school. I started with data.com when it was jigsaw.com. I wanted to take a moment and to dive in to see how many executive assistant positions were available. I'm sorry, how many executive assistants were listed on data.com. And I was blown away when I saw 56,000 executive assistants. I guess my question to you is, what do you have to lose in looking into this niche and starting your own executive assistant recruiting and staffing agency business and having the executive assistant niche as the niche that you represent and that you bring to the table? I mean, it's just, you have lots and lots and lots of options here, okay? Now, a few things before I dive into the financial part. I wanted to pull some articles because I wanted you guys to see some of the things that I do when I go and I create a niche. I want to see what the world is saying about the niche that I'm about to dive into. I found this article and it says, no longer secretaries. CEAs hold power in Silicon Valley. Let me just tell you, this article was pretty amazing. This was in 2013, so you can only imagine where we are today with our executive assistants and what those salaries look like. And I actually was on the line with an executive assistant in the Silicon Valley area space yesterday. She's going to kill me for saying this. This is a true story. She literally, when I asked her to tell me her salary, she would not give me the final number, but she told me she was in the 300s. Okay, I've known this young lady for many years. That's not including her bonus and her salaries. I know another executive assistant in the New York area. She's definitely trending around 240,000, and she's working for one of the largest financial companies in the world. Understand, this niche is nothing to play with. You can do so much in this niche, honestly. Okay. So I found another article too that I wanted to share, and the title, Executive Assistant is the New Power Job. That was just at the end of last year, okay? And again, talking about that Silicon Valley space. The top cities that I shared with you are the cities that you really want to focus on. I live in Atlanta, Georgia, and I noticed that the salaries in Atlanta are 4% lower than even the median. So I may not want to recruit in Atlanta, or maybe this is kind of like my extras, but my main focus is in the New York area or the Washington, D.C. area, or maybe even the Silicon Valley area. I mean, you have options. That's all I'm trying to say. So now I kind of want to dive into the financial side, because I think this is where it really gets exciting. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the infamous calculator. And the infamous calculator is a calculator that I use to determine what I'm going to make and what I'm going to charge a client to fill a position. Okay, so what I'm charging the client and what I'm going to make. And I want to show you what that looks like. I had to clean my calendar here. I wanted to show you what that looks like in live and in living color. So I'm going to make my screen a little bit larger here so you guys can see this. I hope you can see this clearly. And let's see. Okay, perfect. All right, so now first things first, one of the first things I like to do is to see what I can potentially make if I am placing my executive assistant on as a direct hire placement. And if you're not familiar, there are many different models that you can use in the recruiting and staffing industry. The two main models that are used is either your bottom line money, your bottom line income, which is your one-time payment for each placement, that's your direct hire, or your residual income, that's what we would kind of call it. Your residual income, where you're getting paid for every hour that that person has works. So we're going to dive into the direct hire side so we can see how much money you'll make there. Now, we looked earlier and we noticed that I got to go back and pull all my good stuff up here. We noticed that the executive assistant position, the lowest salary we saw was $57,879 here. And so we're going to dive back into the calculator. 57,000, I'm just going to say 58,000 just to get us started with a 20% fee. All right, that's the fee, the percentage that you're going to bill to the client. So if your executive assistant is making, if you're placing an executive assistant, if you're matching an executive assistant with a great company and their salary, the salary that they're offering is $58,000 a year, and you bill the client a 20% placement fee, your check is $11,600. That's what you make every time you place an executive assistant with this target salary. Now, if you place one executive assistant every month, just one, for the entire year, you're looking at an income, and I had that as a 15% fee. Your income is going to actually be a little bit more than 139,000. Let me just change that so you can see, because that's at the lower. That's about 104. So at the 20% fee, you're talking $139,000 for that year, which is a not bad number for somebody. You may be doing this part-time. You may be doing it after work. You may be diving in, trying to, I read a book the other day, Working Your 5 to 9. So, this could be this could be very easy for you if this was something that you wanted to do as a side gig, okay? Now, the other salaries that we saw, and I want to stick with the numbers here, we had a $72,000 salary. Okay, so if we place an executive assistant at $72,000 with a 20% fee, your check ultimately would be $14,400. Not bad. We see a number here, $82,165 as a salary. Let's go back. Let's say $83,000. I wanted to show you what you have the potential to make. $16,000 every time you place an executive assistant with a salary near the 83,000, near the 83,000 mark. Okay, so there you have it. I mean, it's getting bigger, it's getting better. Are you kidding me? It's getting better. It's getting better. Okay, now we had another salary here. I'm going to skip the 94,000. Let's just go straight to the $100,000 mark, and I'm going to move this number right here because I want you guys to see $20,000 check. So if your niche is executive assistants with salaries of $100,000 or more, ding, 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 strategy. D is getting started now. Then you're talking about at least a minimum of a $20,000 check every time you place an executive assistant. How exciting is that? Okay, now we've got to talk about the Silicon Valley space because it cannot be ignored. If these young ladies and these gentlemen here are doing $200,000 a year plus equity, plus bonuses, you would only charge, if depending on your model, for the salary. Is that correct? Right? So 20% of 200,000 is $40,000. If you place high end, at the very top of the line, executive assistants with 200,000 more, you're talking about a $40,000 check for every placement. I'm excited just thinking about that. Let me tell you, I'm probably coming out of my skin over here. I mean, that is just an exciting number. There are the possibility, okay? The opportunity is huge. It's huge. This is one niche that you definitely want to tap into no matter what. So now I want to do something a little bit different. I like to just step out of my little box here. I want to go in and let's start converting some of these salaries into hourly rates. Okay, I hope we have enough time here. We do great. All right, so now we're going to take a moment and we're going to look at the hourly. We're going to convert the hourly rate so that you can see what your executive assistant what you would make on your executive assistant for every hour that they worked. All right, let's get started. So let's just start with our typical salary. Let's start at a general $60,000 a year to get us started. And then I'm going to flow over here and I'm going to open this one and we're going to do an $80,000 a year. And then we'll do one more and we'll type in $100,000 per year. Okay. And this website that I use here is very, very convenient. I use this website all the time when I'm converting salaries. The web address is www.convertunits.com. It's a very informative site, and it's one that's going to help you consistently grow your staffing, grow your business, because you'll be able to know what you need to offer. It's just a good site, so go and use it. All right, so $60,000 a year salary, working 2,000 hours. We're talking $30 per hour. We're going to stick with that number, $30 an hour, right? So let's go back over to our calculator. Let's slide down here a little bit, the infamous calculator, and a contractor pay rate. We're going to put $25 an hour, which would give us a loaded pay rate of $30 an hour. And my burden here in Georgia is around 20%. Each state is going to have a different burden depending on your taxes, what you're doing in your in your insurance and different things like that. And we can talk about that more later. However, my candidate is going to make $30,000 a year. I'm sorry, $30 an hour as a W-2 employee on my payroll. This is where your residual comes in. Now, your markup, you want it to be between 40 and 65%, and you want your gross margin profit, your gross profit margin, to be somewhere below, so somewhere between 28% and 40%. Robert Half International's average gross profit margin is 43%. Wow. Okay. So I'm going to put a number in here and I'm going to say $50 an hour. So this is the bill rate. That's the number that you would bill the client. Okay. And this is with a 50% markup. You are making $20 an hour. I'm going to lower that number just a little bit because typically, you're going to do somewhere between 33 and 38%, depending on how well you negotiate, right? So I'm going to make the bill rate $45 an hour. Your candidate will make $30 an hour. You will make $15 an hour. Your gross profit margin is 33.33%. You've got a 44.44% markup. This is looking really nice, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just tell you right now, okay? So at $15 an hour per person, you have one person on billing. You only place one person on a contract, right? With a hiring manager. That means you are earning $600 a week. Okay. You're earning $600 a week, $2,600 per month, and $31,000 per year with one person placed at the $30 an hour hourly rate. That's what they're making, right? Well, let's just say that you have five executive assistants on contract. That's giving you a check of $3,000 per week, and you're doing $156 per year. The average number for a staffing agency and placements on contracts to stay on billing for their first year or so, you're looking at that number 25. If you consistently keep 25 executive assistants on billing who are making somewhere around $30 an hour, and you're bringing in somewhere around a $15 gross profit margin, you're talking about $15,000 per week. You're almost doing $1 million per year, $780,000 per year, $65,000 per month. Oh, that's all I can say. And you're working for yourself, right? And you have your own independence, and you're moving across the country the way you want, hustling, flowing, doing your thing, right? This is your baby, your business, your money, your joy for connecting the right assistance with the right Companies, it's an amazing feeling. Let me tell you, when you make that placement, you won't feel anything like it. All right, now we looked at some really small, tiny numbers here. Let's kind of up this up a little bit. Let's get some larger numbers here. And I'm going to actually skip the $80,000 mark, actually, because I want us to take just a quick look at that $200,000 mark. Give me 1 second. I want to pull my screen down here. Okay, great. And so I'm going to type in the $200,000 so we can get prepared to see what that hourly rate looks like right there. And I'm going to dive in here to the hourly rate of $100,000 per year. And let's just see, again, convertunits.com. It will really allow you to see what your numbers would look like in this particular business. Okay, so at $100 an hour, I'm sorry, $100,000 a year, you're talking about a $50 an hour contract, right? So let's move our numbers here so we can kind of take a look at this a little bit better. So we said $50 an hour. So let's go back and change this to 45. Let's see, 40, 42. Woo, there we go. And then I want to see what, there we go. We can do 78 a year. Okay, so bill rate. So we're going to bill our clients $78 an hour. And just in case you're wondering, do companies pay this? 100%, yes, they do. I have seen companies pay bill rates of $400 an hour for a particular position. That is very true. Granted, it was in the healthcare space or executive space, but understand, companies have the money and they will pay. You don't worry about that part. You just worry about what you do best, which is matching the best executive assistants with the most amazing companies in the world. Okay, so we're billing the client $78 an hour. We're paying our executive assistant $50 an hour. We are profiting $27 an hour and 60 cents. Our company is making $1,100 per week. We're doing $57,000 per year. That's one placement. All right, that's one placement. Again, let's look at those numbers. You make 5. You have 5 of those candidates on billing, 5 executive assistants on billing. You're doing $5,000 per week, $287,000 per year, $23,000 per month. Let me just stop for a second and ask this question. Are you making that right now? Okay. All right. So this is an additional opportunity. This is an additional way for you to earn some additional income or make this your full-time gig, because understand, the time that you put in here will allow you to increase your business, your revenue, what have you, the way you want it. You are a creator. So ultimately, at the end of the day, you can create the income that you and the lifestyle that you want to live in this business and impact lives in the most major way. And that's what this is really all about. Okay, so let's look at that number one more time. With our average of being 25 people on billing per year, we're talking about $27,000 per week. We're talking about $119,000 per month and $1.4 million per year. Notice I haven't even added on the $720,000 that I may be potentially making from the direct hire space. Did I add that yet? No, I'm talking, this business with these numbers, you're doing almost $3 million per year with a full-fledged staffing agency. This is amazing. I mean, remarkable. Am I using some great words here? I just want you to feel the energy and know that you have the opportunity to do amazing things in this business. Now, we went back and we said, okay, hold on. Dee, you said that there are people out there doing $200,000 a year. And let me tell you, when you have salaries that large, either the hiring manager is going to want to bring that person on full time, or they're going to want to try before they buy, which we call kind of our contract to hire business. And so at $200,000 per year, we're making $100 an hour. So let's go in and look at those numbers. I get excited when I see numbers. Let me just tell you, I've been in this business a long time, and this is what gets you excited. One of the things that gets you excited. Okay, so we're talking about a $100 pay rate for the candidate, right? For the executive assistant. And so we're going to get that. Let me just see here. 80, let's see, 83. Let's just do 84, just to take them over there. So we're talking $100 an hour here for the candidate. All right. We're talking $100,000 here for the candidate. We're talking $100 an hour here for the candidate. Let's see what we would bill the client. All right. Let's increase that a little bit more to, let's say, $153 an hour that we're billing the client. We're paying the candidate $100 an hour. And I want to move this number here. I cheated here. I don't want you to see those numbers. All right. So with these numbers, we're talking $2,000 per week, $9,000 per month, $100,008 per year. 5 people on billing, we're now making $10,000 per week. Let's say 6 months into the business, or 3 months into the business, or 8 months into the business, depending on how passionate you are about this business. We're talking somewhere around around $10,000 a week. And again, let's look at our industry standard of 25 placements per year, $2.7 million per year in contract staffing or contract to hire, but you got to keep a minimum of 25 on billing in order for you to see these numbers throughout the entire year. We're talking $52,000 per week, $226,000 per month. Let me just tell you on the contract side that typically that contract can be for a specific amount of time or an indefinite amount of time. You may have a Silicon Valley or a New York startup or a Houston startup that's not really sure just yet how long or what the scenario is going to be. And they may just want an open-ended contract, and that contract may last for 3 years. Okay. Or you may have a startup, you may work with a venture capitalist firm or a company that's growing that needs executive assistance for all of their executives throughout the organization all across the world. You have the ability to hit that number 25 very easily, more than you know, and have an opportunity to place as many people as you like. You can do $1 million in your first year in this business. I've seen it. Okay, you can do this. If you're thinking, if you're wondering, I don't know, D, is this possible? Let me just tell you, it is more than possible. I don't know what else to tell you to show you how exciting, how remarkable, how amazing it is to be able to take an executive assistant that you may have just met, who tells you their story. They tell you what they're experiencing at work. They tell you the challenges that they're experiencing and the successes. Sometimes they get personal and tell you what they're experiencing at home. You get a connection with that executive assistant. You begin to love on your executive assistant. And then you have this other party here, which is your client, your hiring manager, who, he's stressed out because he's got all of this work that he needs to be done and he can't do it on his own. And there's a time crunch going on. And he needs somebody who's just as passionate about his business and about the work that needs to be done that as he is, right? And you take these two individuals and you introduce them and you match them. And it's a match made in heaven. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And they decide that they want to work together. And then you get that check. And then you call. I mean, it just gets so exciting. Y'all see my hands going in the air, right? It's just an amazing experience. I really inspire you. I'm inspiring you, and I encourage you to step out of your comfort zone, to embrace the idea of starting your very own niche executive assistant recruiting and staffing agency business. If you want to learn more, I would encourage you to take a look and to visit www.staffingpreneursacademy.com. Have an amazing day.